is it. Don't get scared now.
This holiday season may have arrived, but as tempting as it is, you can't focus all your movie-watching energy on Hallmark originals about women who moved to a small town because they inherited a cupcake shop which is being threatened by a cute workaholic developer who's turning it into an outlet mall that sells fracking, but then they both feel a spark as she invents a new fruitcake cupcake hybrid that becomes the hit of the season, and just as they're about to kiss, his ex shows up, but he took funding to expand the cupcake shop, and now the two romantic leads are getting Christmas married. I mean, you could just watch that. It sounds like something they'd make. But if you want to see something good this year, watch this. Best holiday movies help us get into the spirit of the season, not to mention provide a much-needed distraction while you layer frosting on a gingerbread house while FaceTiming the cousins you only see once a year. Before we get into our picks, let's break down the 5 elements that make for a true holiday season classic. You know that whole bit about peace on earth and goodwill towards men? You gotta mean it. The best selections share warmth, kindness, and an uplifting vibe. And if your movie doesn't have all that, get the hell off my list. Scram! Go sleep in the cold. Second, what are the holidays about if not spending quality time with those we love? Eggnog. Sure, granted, but that's not really featured in many movies, and it's super gross. So characters who share tight bonds with their friends and family it is. Third, how better to encourage audiences to embrace the magic of the holidays than showing us the alternative? The characters who say, bah humbug to all manner of merriment, and live to suffer the consequences. After all, it's not truly Christmas in Whoville until the Grinch's heart grows to dangerous proportions. Fourth, it just doesn't feel like the holidays unless the ground is covered in a blanket of snow. Houses get adorned with bright blinking lights, and the streets are filled with Jews like me picking up Thai food. The very best holiday movies reflect that aesthetic on screen. A Christmas movie without Santa is like a Christmas without Santa, which thousands of animated TV specials featuring semi-realistically talking puppets have been assuring us is a very terrible thing indeed since the early 1960s. And just for the record, we're counting film appearances from anyone calling themselves Santa, whether it's Kris Kringle himself or just some guy named Hank in a red suit on the second floor of Macy's. He's one of Santa's helpers, kids, and he'll pass your request on to the big guy, honest. Alright, so those are your defining features of the perfect holiday movie. And as it turns out, no fewer than 3 bona fide holiday classics meet all 5 of these criteria. So you will have plenty to watch this year, even after that Hallmark one about the workaholic lawyer who trips into a gorgeous guy, sending all of her papers flying, and then they set up a date, and she assumes he's just some regular schmo, but it turns out he's actually an Austrian duke posing as a law clerk. You know, why am I giving these ideas away? These are gold. Okay, Scrooged, Richard Donner's reimagining of A Christmas Carol starring Bill Murray as a miserly TV executive, hits 5 for 5 on our holiday charts. Murray's updated Ebenezer learned the value of the holiday spirit and the importance of friends, family, and community. The film's New York has been dressed up for the holiday season, and Lee Major stars in the movie in a movie The Night the Reindeer Died as an action hero who must save Santa's workshop from terrorists. Our next 5 for 5 contender is 1994's The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen as a regular guy who accidentally kills Santa and must take his place as punishment. Happy holidays, kids! But the movie still goes 5 for 5. Scott starts as a real Grinch, but ultimately embraces the spirit of the holidays and his new role as Santa, along with his bowl-cutted son, Charlie. And of course, everywhere from his suburban home to the workshop at the North Pole looks and feels suitably Christmassy. Just ignore all the death, and the sequels. Finally, the drug-fueled buddy comedy The Night Before unexpectedly clocks in with all 5 of these elements. I mean, Jesus wasn't stuck up, so why'd you spend his birthday watching something all uptight? We're filled with the desire to celebrate the holiday spirit. And that includes both Christmas and Hanukkah, so we're really hitting all the bases here. Ilana Glazer plays a holiday-hating drug thief who's actually credited as Rebecca Grinch. The gents visit a very festive-looking holiday party called the Nutcracker Ball, and it turns out the whole thing is a story being told to us by Santa Claus himself. Plus, these guys dressed up as Santa kicked Joseph Gordon-Levitt's ass. Moving on to movies that nearly got a perfect score, but just came up short, matching 4 or 5 of our holiday categories. First up, Joe Dante's original creature feature, Gremlins. It's about the friendship that forms between young Billy and his pet mogwai Gizmo, not to mention his budding romance with his fetching but troubled neighbor Kate. The Gremlins themselves kind of look like Grinches, but we've also got some unpleasant people in the film, like mean, dog-threatening neighbor Ruby Deagle. In fact, all we're missing is an appearance from Santa.
He was dressed in a Santa Claus suit. He'd been climbing down the chimney on Christmas Eve, his arms loaded with presents. He was going to surprise us. He slipped and broke his neck. Died instantly.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Setting aside the debate about whether it's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie, we can tell you that A Nightmare Before Christmas hits 4 of our 5 holiday movie categories. It's set amongst the friends and colleagues of Halloween Town who kidnap Santa, create their own take on holiday cheer and decorations, and ultimately salvage their Christmas plans from the Grinch-like Oogie Boogie Man. They just kind of struggle with that whole holiday spirit, goodwill towards men thing, but we probably shouldn't hold that against them. They are monsters. Which brings us to the Griswold family at the center of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. They definitely stick together as a family throughout their traumatic holiday. Santa not only appears in the animated opening credits, but Clark spends half the movie dressed like him. Decorating the house with thousands of tiny lights plays a huge part in the film's storyline, and it features Brian Doyle Murray, Bill's brother, in a supporting role as Clark Griswold's Grinch-like boss. Like the Halloween monsters though, the Griswolds sometimes struggle to get into the holiday spirit. I mean, they're doing their best. Many of the most beloved and popular Christmas movies among film fans only hit 3 for 5 on our scale, probably because we messed up. Or maybe you all don't understand the true meaning of Christmas, one of the two. Die Hard gets welcomed to the party with 3 of 5 matches.
Welcome to the party, pal!
John McClane certainly demonstrates goodwill towards all the men of Nakatomi Tower who aren't vaguely German thief terrorists, and relies on his new friend Al Powell of the LAPD. Plus his adversary Hans Gruber's something of a Grinch, and his wife Holly's office has been decorated thoroughly for the holidays. But I'll be honest, we mostly put this on here so y'all wouldn't feel the need to bring it up incessantly in the comments. It's a Christmas movie, okay? Satisfied? Good. Let's move on. Home Alone may be the top grossing Christmas movie of all time, but it doesn't actually involve a ton of holiday cheer, or any time spent with friends and family. That's kind of the whole point. Family's off to Paris. So what we're left with are 2 Grinches, this somewhat paltry excuse for Santa, and a neighborhood that's been decked out with lots of lights and decorations. The dark crime comedy Bad Santa might not have a lot of Christmas spirit or goodwill to spare, but it does have a very Scroogey protagonist, lots of real Christmassy sets and merry set pieces, plus it's practically wall-to-wall Santa, so you could do a lot worse. And of course, speaking of cinematic crime, there's Jingle All the Way, with Arnold Schwarzenegger battling a maniacal Sinbad for a Turbo Man doll over the course of a single Christmas Eve. The movie's entirely lacking in holiday spirit or goodwill toward men. It basically hates people. Look elsewhere for these elements. But if you want Grinches, holiday decorations, and angry con artist, very likely alcoholic Santas, this is your movie. That's it for our rundown. But where are the old school classics, you ask? Your Miracles on 34th Streets, Your Wonderful Lives? Go to sleep, Grandpa. Nah, I'm kidding. Those are all great, but we can't cover them all. If you're looking for the most highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes Tomato Meter, go with Nightmare Before Christmas. Critics love them some Burton. Well, if you trust the highest user score over at Metacritic, you should go with Home Alone and...
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
But if we've earned your undying trust, do check out Scrooged, a hilarious comedy that's also a wonderful reminder of what the holidays are all about, finding new ways to adapt A Christmas Carol.